سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, our fathers and mothers, I welcome us to this call with the best of greetings by saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alaikum salam
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
wa barakatuh. Now, first of all, I want to welcome us. I thank Allah for sparing our lives unto this moment. May Allah in His infinite mercy reward us abundantly for our consistency, for our commitment, for our sacrifice. We pray that He reward us abundantly for everything we do. There are some members of this call that have been very supportive from the first edition. We ask Allah to reward you. Your support keeps us going. Jazakumullah khairan. We were still having a meeting last night, and I can still see some members that attended that meeting in this call, and that meeting has to do with Unilonga. And so, that shows the commitment. Jazakumullah khairan. Not to waste our time, the topic of discussion today is Ummah building from hope to pragmatic solution. Ummah building from hope to pragmatic solution. And why this topic? Why this topic? The last time we talked about, the Islamic solution to economic prosperity. What should we do as Muslims to become financially buoyant, to make the Ummah strong financially? Because the Ummah is weak financially, but Muslim individuals are very strong. So how do we make the Ummah, in Nigeria and Nigeria as a whole, economically vibrant? So this time around, we want to look at the Ummah itself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that inna hadhihi ummatukum ummatan wahida wa ana rabbukum fa'budun. This nation, this Islam that you hold, is just one single nation. So Allah, whether you are in Nigeria as a Muslim, or you are in Indonesia, you are in China, you are in Saudi Arabia, we are a single body. And the Prophet ﷺ described this Ummah as a single body, and that if one part feels pain, the entire part of the body feels pain. If you have a headache, the whole of your body will know that this person has headache. And if you have a fever, the entire body feels it. So when a part of the Muslim Ummah feels pain, Muslims across the globe will also feel that pain. A very good example is what is going on in Palestine, what's going on in Sudan, what's going on in Nigeria. The entire Muslim world feels it, but the problem is, what is the Ummah going to do about it? The Ummah is so fragmented. The Ummah is so powerless, is so weak. And then we always have the best ideas, but who is going to implement the ideas? We always talk about Muslim unity. Who is going to spearhead the Muslim unity? So we thought about, starting with building or creating frameworks, so that when it's time to do the actual work, we know this is the path that we can take. And that is why we have decided to discuss this topic. We have invited one of our brothers who is well equipped to deliver the topic, in person of Brother Teslim Adeyemo, and he is already with us on this call. Brother Teslim is also an alumni member of Uniloring. Is an active member of Unilomga, and is an independent researcher in Muslim community development and institutional design. Brother Teslim works at the intersection of Islamic scholarship and development practice, helping Muslim professionals and organizations translate core values into sustainable systems. Through his Ummah Builders project, he develops practical frameworks for community-level institutional building. His research asks a central question: how do we move from fragmented charitable efforts to integrated systems that restore dignity and agency to Muslim communities worldwide? His work is driven by a conviction that every Muslim community, no matter how under-resourced, possesses untapped assets to move from inspiration to institution and from vision to sustainable impact. Join me to welcome Brother Teslim Adeyemo as he takes us through the topic. May Allah make it easy for him and for us. But before I pass the mic on to Brother Teslim, as is our usual practice, I would like us to take a moment, reach out to your friends, go into your contact list, send messages to people, invite them to this call. I know we are recording it, but nothing is as good as hearing it from the lecturer firsthand. May Allah make it easy for all of us. With that said, may Allah ease our affairs. May Allah accept this as an act of ibadah. May Allah guide our thoughts. Whatever we discuss on this program today, I ask Allah to give us understanding, and may Allah open our hearts to take the message in. May Allah add it to our scales of good deeds. Bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. With this prayer, I pass the mic to Brother Teslim to begin the program. And I know he has some slides to present. Kindly unmute, kindly mute yourself if you are not Brother Teslim. Jazakumullah khairan.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Teslim, if you can, yes, I was just going to say we need your video on.
Yeah. Okay, you need it on throughout or?
Ma'am?
Do you need it on throughout the presentation? I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We just want to put a name to the face and for better engagement.
Oh, inshallah. So, yeah, I'll be sharing my screen now. The slides I have. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Okay, inshallah. All right. So can I go ahead?
Please go ahead, sir.
All right. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. 1 minute. 1 second, please. All right. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Just wanted to start with a simple question, which is that in the next 30 years, like what is our goal? What do we expect to have changed between now and then? And how do we make sure that whatever we're expecting to have happened by that time, we actually start the works today? That question is very important because if we don't know where we are going, it will be very, very difficult for us to reach there. Because a lot of time, what we do is, as an ummah, is we sit down and we start quoting, from books that we have read, what the Sahaba did, what the Prophet ﷺ did during his time. But what we don't do is to actually do or what they did, to actually put together systems, structures, and infrastructure to ensuring that what we want to achieve is put in place. So what usually happen is we look at events. We look at events and we praise those events. But what we forget is for every event, there is a lot of processes that have happened and that have to happen before the event occur. Before Medina was established, there was a lot of events that took place, processes that took place before we had the events called the Madinatul Munawwara of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And it's very important that we understand this. There is, for every event, there's a lot of processes, and we have to be ready to go through the process. We have to be ready to endure the process also. So that is how we will be able to achieve whatever we want to achieve. Now, my approach to this topic, Ummah building, especially for this session, is to use Unilonga as kind of an example in what I want to say, because I don't want to start quoting all the problems Muslims have. We all know it. We've heard them thousands or millions of times. So I don't want to be, dwelling much on those. I may mention a few, but I'm not going to dwell on those too much. We know them. What I'm rather going to dwell on is to use Unilonga as kind of an example of how we can move forward, how we can start building or rebuilding or reviving the Ummah, so that we are not just hoping that one day something will happen, something good will happen to the Ummah without effort. It won't happen. We have to put effort. You remember some scholars will say, even Maryam, the mother of Isa alayhi salatu wassalam, when she was in difficulties, she was pregnant, in difficulty, and she wanted to drink water, also hungry, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told her to shake the tree beside her so that the food will fall, she can eat from it. Now, Allah would have just allowed the food to fall, but instead He asked her to put in effort, to do something. So, and I think that's what the Ummah needs today, not just hope. Dua is very, very important, but dua without action will not yield something. Sometimes when you see somebody making dua and you think probably he's not even doing anything, but his dua are being accepted, you are not seeing what he has done. He probably has done a lot of things in the past that is making the dua happen today. So that's why, as Ummah, effort is very, very important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, فَقُلِ اعْمَلُوا فَسَيَرَ اللَّهُ عَمَلُكُمْ وَرَسُولُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Yours is to do, yours is to take action. Allah will see your actions, the Prophet ﷺ will see your action, and the believers will also see your action. That is our own responsibility. Our responsibility is to take action. Now, how do you take action? And this is why this is very important, because we here are all graduates. So we are part of the few people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed with knowledge. If you are a graduate, you are in a particular field. You're probably an engineer, probably a medical doctor, probably a lawyer, a journalist, or whatever. So we are all in different fields, and that's what makes it most beautiful for us, because we have minds here, we have intellectuals here. So it is for us to sit down this thing I studied in school, or the current work I'm doing, the current profession I'm in, the current industry I'm in, how can I be useful in this field, in this studies, in this study area that I have experience in? So, and not just to work as an individual, but as a collective, and we will get to those. And that's where Unilonga becomes very, very strategic in the revival of the Ummah. You know, the Medina of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Al-Madinatul Munawwara, it begins with heart. It began with hearts where people, I know, compassion, love with each other, but it didn't stop there. Love alone without structure will not take us far. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, even despite the love, even despite the mu'akhar he did with the Sahaba, the Ansar and Muhajirun, you know, bringing them together, linking them together, and establishing bonds of brotherhood among them, the Prophet ﷺ still came up with rules. He still came up with markets, and he still came up with accountability. In other words, he set up rules and regulations. He set up institutions, and he set up a system of accountability. So it's the Ummah moves from vision, because the Prophet ﷺ had a vision of Islam spreading throughout the world, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him. But it will not happen, it will not materialize without people, without the correct people. So that's why he was able to try to raise people gradually. He tried to train them spiritually and materially. And with these people, he was able to form various forms of institutions. And the market, the souk of Medina was one of it. The the political system he put in place through the Sahifa of Medina is one of it. And the incentives, which is the zakats and the benefits everybody that contributes to the growth of the society of Medina gets from being part of that structure the Prophet ﷺ formed. So these were the things that made Medina become a model to the world. A vision, the people, the various institutions, and the incentives, even defense system, because if you look at it, the way he set it up, the Muslims will defend, the non-Muslims who were old will not participate. But the non-Muslim, the Jews, for example, they will pay jizya if they did not want to participate. If they don't want to pay jizya, they will have to fully participate in defending Medina. So that's a system he put in place. And if we stop at inspiration, because today we have become so comfortable that we don't want to take action. All we want to do is just to get inspired with stories of the past. This is what the Ummah did in the past. In this century, the Muslim did this. In that century, we were able to achieve that. But the work they did to achieve all the things we are talking about today, all the great things they did to achieve, they achieved today, we have to do that. We have to take actions also, and calculated actions, strategic actions to be able to achieve the kind of things they did. In fact, even better than them, because today we have better resources than they had at their time. If we don't take action, if we just wait as inspiration, we will not move forward. We'll just be, wallowing in nostalgia. The golden era of Islam. We'll be talking about it, but we will not have our own golden area. We will not be able to ensure that it's really materialized in our own time. So, niyyah alone is not enough. We have to pair our niyyah with governance. In other words, we have a vision and we create a governance system that ensures that this niyyah, this vision we have, is materializable. And it will not come, like you set up structure, you need people that will make the structure breathe and grow and create outcome, successful outcome. So talent pipelines. We have we need that one also. But we can't bring people together also if we don't have the financial resources. So that's why we have to learn. We have to start not just coming together. We also have to start to learn how to create funds. Using what Islam has already given us, the zakat, the waqf system. So waqf-backed funding, we need to create all those ones also. And this is what will help us, help our vision become something that grows and creates, kind of result it should create in the world. These are all we need. And all this I just mentioned is possible within Unilonga. Because if you look at it, Unilonga, I am very sure Unilonga has more than 1,000 members. I'm very sure. Hafiz, am I correct to say Unilonga has more than 1,000 members?
Unilonga has, we have thousands and thousands of members, and we have about 1,000 people that have identified with what we are doing right now.
Oh, mashallah. So now I think the next, the next step of work we have to do is to ensure that everybody, we can't force people to join Unilonga, but we can create a system that attracts people to wanting to join Unilonga. If we create that system, people will be begging to want to be part of the association or the organization or the network. I don't even want to call it association. I want to call it a network. So these are the kind of things we need to start thinking about. And these are the things I want to share with us. Brother Pizzo, while he was doing his opening, he mentioned the last lectures we had, which Dr. Professor Mahfouz Adedimeji delivered on economic, like the economic growth of individuals. Now, the thing is, as Muslims, we need to be economically well, sound. Not just have knowledge. If you have knowledge, you don't have money to support the knowledge to create things, like we will become very dependent on other people. So that's why the fastest way to earn a seat at the table is to host the meal. If we want to compete with the world, if we want other people to respect us, then we have to do what it takes to earn that respect, which is to become intellectually independent, economically independent, resource independent, all those kind of things. So until we are able to do this kind of, to put this kind of mindset, to develop this kind of mindset into reality, we will still be struggling. You remember the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ when he said the time is coming where people will be, people will be gathering on us as if they are gathering on food on the table. The Prophet warned us. Many people see it as a prophecy. The Prophet prophesied that this is what is going to happen in the future. I see it as a warning. And when you are warned that if a time is coming that something like this is going to happen to you, the next thing you should do is what? Is to be cautious. Is to ensure that, okay, what can I do to prevent it? Because the Prophet never said that it is not preventable. He only warned us that we should be careful. Because the time is coming that will be so many that we will not have power. People will, they will just overpower us. They will do whatever they like to us. But the question nobody asked was, okay, why? Why will that happen? It will happen because of our disunity. And unfortunately, we must, like we think, sometimes we wait for when we are united to do certain things, and we will never be united. Like our understanding of unity is completely, I would say it's completely wrong, because when we say unity, it doesn't mean all of us will be thinking the same way, we'll be doing the same thing. No, we can be united without, doing the same thing. We can be united without following the same path. Look at the United Nations, for example. Not all countries in the United Nations, have the same ideology. They are there. There are rules that help them work together, even though some of them hate each other. They are ready to kill each other. Yet, they will sit down and work together based on rules. I think that's what we need as an Ummah. How can we have rules that will help us work together? Whether this person is whatever it is, but we have to create a system. As long as you claim to be Muslim, even though I believe you are not a good Muslim, okay, let's sit down together for the sake of humanity, for the sake of creating peace in the world, for the sake of making life easy for people, because that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us as a responsibility. How do you make things easy for people? وَمَا لَكُمْ لَا تُقَاتِلُونَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَالْمُسْتَضْعَفِينَ مِنَ الرِّجَالِ وَالنِّسَاءِ وَالْوِلْدَانِ الَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا أَخْرِجْنَا مِنْ هَذِهِ الْقَرْيَةِ ظَلِمِ أَهْلُهَا. And that's what Allah said. Why will you not struggle on the part of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when there are among men, women, and children, people that are suffering, and they are shouting, oh Allah, help us out of this corrupt land, help us out of this insecure land, help us out of this land where we are suffering, we can't find food to eat, housing is becoming very expensive, we are suffering from virtually everything. This is the responsibility Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the Ummah. He told the Prophet وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We sent you not but as a mercy unto the world. And by extension, that means all Muslims. That's the responsibility of all Muslims. Not to come and create chaos through our disunity. Once we know that this is the responsibility Allah gave us, we should guard it so much so that nothing else, our disagreement should not cause this problem to occur. Our disagreement among us should not make people suffer. Our disagreement should not make people lose their houses, die unnecessarily, create insecurity unnecessarily, or create fear among people. So, our responsibility is to make sure that the world we are living in is a world where everybody is free, everybody has a sense of security to be able to worship Allah the way he believes. So, the way to do that is to come together as a community. When we talk about the Ummah is so large. The approach I wanted to use was to look at the global Ummah. But I just felt there's no point doing that because as we are here, we don't have control in certain parts of the world. But what we have control is our circle of influence is unilonger. We have a number of people that have identified to be part of this community. And how can we use this platform for the revival of the Ummah in our own little way? And gradually over sometimes. Because think about it, in the next 30 years, all the children born today will be 30 years old. What are we preparing for them between now and then before they become 30 years old? Because that's a whole new generation that is coming. That's going to take over from us, whether we like it or not. And if we don't clear certain things now, it is going to be part of the problem they are going to inherit. In addition to the problem they are going to be facing, problems that are not yet apparent to the world, to the Muslim Ummah. So how do we help them not face the problem we are facing today at that time? So that by that time, whatever problem they are facing, they know that's the only problem they are facing, not the problem they are inheriting from us. And that's why we have to come together as a community, as a network of intellectuals, and create solutions for them. So we don't need the caliphate to rebuild the Ummah. This group we have is enough. And I say it's enough because we can put certain things in place and make sure that those things become successful. And when they become successful, the next thing is to introduce it to other people. let's say, for example, Unilonga, sets up some things. For example, I'll come to that just to give a cursory understanding of the point I just made. We come up with certain institutional structures, and they become very, very successful. The next thing to do is to introduce it to probably other institutions in Nigeria, UI, OAU, and other institutions like that. So when we take our success, because we take our success, we send it to other people. This is what we did, this is how we're able to do it. And we would like you to do it also so that we have Muslim successes all over the place. And eventually we can all come together and work together as an Ummah for Nigeria. Now, the reason why this is possible with Unilonga is if we look at the inventory of Unilonga, the assets we already possess. We possess the human capital, we have economic power, and we can create infrastructures with what we already have, if we really want to achieve it. So we have thousands of university educated members, which is like 8% of national average, like thousands of Muslim brothers graduating from University of Ilorin that are becoming alumni. Now, the thing is, some of them are not identifying as members yet, but if we do certain things, if we create certain economic assets and infrastructures, I am telling you, they are going to come begging to be part of the network. And that's why this is the work we have to do. We need to know how many Muslim engineers we have. We need to know how many doctors graduated from University of Ilorin. So if I ask for the past 10 years, how many we have, we probably don't know. And this is why, if you don't have data, it becomes very difficult to make certain kind of forecast, certain kind of decision. So I think it's if we have very good relationship with the university, we might want to work towards getting this and having a kind of database of people that are Muslims that have graduated from school, and if possible their contact, and we start reaching out to them batch by batch. We can reach out to a group of people over a period of time, letting them know this is our vision, this is our mission, and this is what we want to achieve and this is the reason why we have to achieve it. We create a kind of a robust communication system that that persuades them, that convinces them that this is the thing every one of us has to be part of. So if you look at, because I was just doing some basic calculation of if every graduate of University of Ilorin, let's say, earns 300,000 a month. I know some of us will earn more than that, but let's say just 1,000 University of Ilorin graduates, 1,000 of them, and each one of them earns a minimum of 300,000 a month. And that's in the billion. We are talking over, at the end of, we are talking about combined economic power in the billions. Individually, it may not be, somebody may look at 300,000 is too small. But combined, that's how much, alumni of the university are worth at the minimum in the billions. So in other words, we have certain kind of purchasing power that if we're able to organize it, if you have 300 people, 1,000 people giving you 300, probably monthly, just 1,000 naira, that's about 1 million every month. 1 million every month, over a year, that's 12 million. That's if everybody gives 1 million, and I'm talking about 1,000 people. It is not easy, it is difficult, but nothing good is easy. Yoruba people will say, so if you want something good, you have to put money. So, and you have to put hard work. And if we want to achieve this, we need money, all these good things. have school. There's nothing that says that Unilonga should not have school in every state capital. Schools, primary, secondary, in every state capital of Nigeria. What that means is you are employing people and you are building the next generation. Because imagine if in each of the schools you are raising probably 500 minimum students every year. You know what you are projecting into the world. So, and that is the infrastructure that the economic power will enable us to be able to put in place. So we need to look at the governance of Unilonga, how we put teams together, the executive teams, do we collect dues, and how do we establish trust? How do we create a network of trusts among us so that when you say people should contribute 1,000 naira every month, they are ready to do. They are ready to do because they trust you so much. So, and this is very important for building the Ummah, because we need a success story that we can show to the world and say, this is what the Ummah looks like when we are in charge. الَّذِينَ إِمَّا كَانَهُمْ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ أَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتَوُا الزَّكَاةَ وَأَمَرُوا بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَنَهَوْا عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ. That's what I say. These people who, when we establish them, when we give them authority on earth, they create situations, they create systems, they create the structure that makes the establishment of Salah possible, Zakat possible. They encourage the good and they discourage evil. And in my own interpretation, when I say Amr bil Ma'ruf, part of Amr bil Ma'ruf is to create job so that you prevent people from begging, so that you empower people to be able to take care of their families. So Unilonga has reached a level, because now probably we are clocking, we are moving close to a decade, if we are not more than that. Am I correct, Rob Lafiz?
Yes, sir.
So we can be operating for 10 years and we don't have structures that we are putting, we are creating, institutions we are creating. When we have people that are capable, our human capital, we have, like we would have already people that have PhD among us, doctors among us, a lot of master's degrees among us. What are we doing with all this potential, all this capacity? We need to learn how to harness all these people, bring them together. Within the Unilonga, we should be able to create people, we should be able to get people together, all medical students, put them together, all engineers, civil engineer, put them together, all mechanical engineer, put them together, like organize them as kind of sub-network within the network, so that each one of them is able to do things, meaningful, tangible things, not just for their own self, but for the Ummah. The little effort, blocks that we put together, we'll be able to build mansion, the Ummatic mansion with it. These are huge assets. A single individual with a master's degree, they are very capable of doing, like a lot of things. If we're able to harness, if we're able to, like to create enabling environments for them. And I think that is the role that the Unilonga has to play, creating enabling environments for every one of us to flourish, not just individually, but as a network of Ummah. When we achieve this, we can export it to other countries. So, in the next 30 years, what can we do to make sure that we have all these systems, so that in the next 30 years, once 30 years or 20 years, we already have institutions in place, successful institutions. In my wild dream, I was just thinking, what if every month Unilonga creates one business, every month we create a business, every month we create a new business with different sets of members coming together. And each one of them becomes successful. Definitely some of them will flop, but some of them will succeed. And those ones that succeed will help the one that flops. You no longer become more or less kind of like venture capital system that makes sure each member has economic values that they can contribute to the Ummah. Whether it is to train them to be able to achieve that, to be able to use whatever they have learned in school, instead of them going to make some other system successful, system that doesn't care about Islam, system that doesn't care about Islamic value, Islamic ethics, you know, lawyers going to work in law courts that, like just disregards Islamic values, banks that disregard Islamic values, microfinances that disregard Islamic values, corporates, institutions that have no value, no respect for Islam, or even if they have respect for Islam, but that's not their business, that kind of thing. And we make those institutions very successful. We have Muslims that are working there, contributing their brain power. We can bring them, we can create our own institutions, our own structures and infrastructures. It requires a lot of money, and that's why it's not the job of one person, it's the job of all of us. And if we use principles, Islamic finance principles, social finance principles, like work like zakat, we can set up a committee that will look into, okay, how do we ensure zakat comes to Unilonga? And the purpose of that zakat is to, is to empower members of the community, not to give 10,000 to people, no, but to use that one to create institutions that will empower individuals and that will make them also contribute to the community. Work, the same thing. We have members that have money, they've graduated, they have business, they have money. We can leverage those, but we have to present compelling reasons why they should give us something. Now, there are two ways of doing things. There is part A, there is part B, as you can see on the screen. The part A is the consumer model, which is annual reunion, dinners, and like the one we are currently doing, which is every month we have lectures, occasional charity drives, or something is happening, can we do this? Oh, we need money for this. We react to issues. We need to build this, we want to do that, that's reactive. Reactive approach to solving problem. The second part is part B, the builder model, where what we need is institutional development. Build school, build businesses, companies of various types, systematic capacity building for people that will man those institutions, proactive infrastructures that will help us endure. So in the next 100 years, in the next 200 years, Unilonga still exists. Not as monthly cohort thing, but as a network that shapes life daily, economically, socially, spiritually, politically, that we're all there, influencing positively the society, shaping the future of our immediate local community, and also influencing others, showing them the path that if you see, this is what you can do, this is what we have done, and we have been successful at it. We have been able to establish about 100 businesses in Nigeria, small businesses, and all graduates of University of Ilorin. They are not looking for jobs. The moment they graduate, they know there's a job waiting for them. Nobody will do that for us. We have to be the one doing it by ourselves. And this is what I mean by, if we sell this idea appropriately and properly to other members that are graduating and other alumni that are graduating, a lot of them will believe. Many will still not believe until they see it work, because that's the nature of human. How do we make sure it is, how do we do this kind of thing so that it is working? Now, the question is, I'm not telling us how to do it now, because the first thing is, do we believe that this is what is to happen. If we don't believe, then there's no reason why we should be saying, okay, how do we do it? Once we have the will that this is what we should do, I bet you how to do it will come. There are a number of ways of how to do it. So we need to start transforming graduates, like graduates from graduates to transform communities. We need to help our graduates transform to communities. If you study mass comm, by the moment you graduate, there is job because no longer has created a mass comm structures and infrastructure for you all over the country. Not just, so if it is Lagos you want to stay, no problem. We have infrastructure there that will handle that. If it's in, like anywhere in Nigeria you want to stay. And if we have members overseas, enough members overseas, it's possible we establish those kind of things there also. And showing others the way that this is how to do things. We don't have to complain, we don't have to fight each other. We just have to operate based on rules. You are Tijaniya, you are Ahlus Sunnah, but you say you claim you are Muslim, you too claim you are Muslim. Okay, this is the rule. We can still work together, but this is the rules. We have to sit down and set the rules. I'm not saying the Tijaniya should become Sunni. I'm not saying the Sunni should become the Tijaniya. But let's work together. We have rules. Let's operate together. So what will the rules look like? When we are ready, when we sit down, we will set it. And we operate unity. That is very important. It's very important. That's a Quranic injunction that we should all abide by, no matter what our various ideologies might be. But that's very important, unity and diversity. It doesn't mean that individually we should start sharing the truth, but like if we want to move forward as an ummah, we have to have rules that are guiding us on how to do things. Otherwise, our efforts will just be dissipated on things that will keep us backward, and not just us, but other communities that are closer to us. So this is very imperative for us to look into. So something I'm proposing when it comes to building the Ummah in a pragmatic way, a number of things: educational sector, economic sector, social sector, and civil sector. So each of these sectors, we have the capacity to influence it gradually. It's not going to happen immediately, but over time, give ourselves next 20 years, next 30 years. And we are doing it not for the sake of ourselves, or not for the sake of proving that, yes, we can do it. No, but for the sake of the responsibility Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And as a community, we are also, shepherds. We are also, we also have responsibility for the upcoming generation. The generation that is not even yet born. What do we want to put in place? Imagine that 30 years ago, 50 years ago, that generation that was living, that we took over from. Imagine that generation had put all these things in place, and it was already successful. We will not be talking the way we are talking today. It's completely different things we'll be discussing, we'll be talking about. So that's why we have to, out of compassion, what can we do? What can we, put in place? Because it's going to get worse and worse in the years to come. The economy is becoming bad. The global security situation is becoming worse. We need to solve this problem. And nobody will do it except, a group of people that really believe in Allah. So we can have various educational institutions, Unilonger Academy, technical institutes, where we train people. We have people that know how to code here, like their technology. We can create all these various technical institutes, like formal institutions also, where people can go learn vocational, from nursery to, like different kind of thing. Economic. I think we need to take this very serious. Waqf. Waqf is the engine that Islam has given us with zakat. We can decide, in the next, 2026, we want to raise 500 million naira. And among ourselves, all we need to do, and to make it easy for everybody that's doing communicate to contribute. And the way we can do it is everybody for next year. I can decide, for example, 2026, throughout 2026, all my monthly income, I want to contribute to 1%. Let's say I'm earning 100,000. For the sake of calculation, I'm earning 100,000 naira. 1% of my 100,000 naira is 1,000 naira. So if all of us are contributing just 1% of our monthly income for the year 2026, we put it together. If we are 1,000, that's 1 million per month. If you are 2,000, that's 2 million per month. If you are 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, if we can encourage a lot of people to join, we can make 500 million by the end of 2026. And 2027, we start putting all these institutional, all these structures and infrastructure in place. At the social level, we are present. At the civic level, we are present. We create policy institutes, for different sort of things, producing researches in different fields, manned by people that are paid monthly income, because their work will also generate income. This is how gradually we start building. And like I said building the Ummah is a process at the beginning. I said right from the beginning, it's a process that leads to an event. It's when, to get to those events, we have to go through this process or processes. So that our year 10, or by the time we become 20 years, longer is 20 years, when it is not it's not business as usual. We have become something completely different. We are changing people's life, not through talk, but through action. Employing people, giving them, as soon as somebody graduates, goes to NYC, finishes the NYC, is a student of University of Ilorin, guaranteed he has a job. And we teach other universities, Muslim alumni of other universities, how to do the same thing. And by the time we become successful, they become successful, we tell them, let's join hands together to change this country. That's how we change Nigeria. Not by necessarily going into politics to become governor. No, we don't need to even become governor or president. But at our own civil society level, we can change things. And that's when the government will listen to us. When we say, can you do this? Let's do this. Let's do something this way. That's when government wants to make decisions, they will say, let's invite these kids to the table. And you remember I said earlier, the fastest way to earn a seat at the table is to host the meal. Because the government see how we are contributing. We are contributors to the economy. And because of us, probably, the government doesn't need to go out to the International Monetary Fund to borrow money again. But it comes to us instead to say, okay, we need to solve this development problem. You guys, you have the intellect, you have the you have the vision, you have, how do we go about it? So this is how we can position ourselves. Big ideas, right? But it's very, very possible. The golden age of Islam, things like this happen. They didn't even have all the things we have. They built the Bimaristans. The Bimaristans were, huge hospitals, like general hospitals with departments, various departments for different kind of diseases. And you know what happened? Every student will go there, learn medicine for free. If you are sick, you go to the Bimaristan. Nobody pays. It's all free. But how were they able to? The lecturers were paid. In fact, some of the students were on scholarship. They get money to go and study. How were they able to achieve this? It was through work. From various individuals that have lands, or farms. The money they get from their farm produce, They dedicated the farm to the Bimaristans. And it's not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's thousands or hundreds of it all over the Islamic world. And some of them still exist today. I think the oldest one, which is 700 years old, is in Syria. It is still existing. That's where some medical breakthrough, took place. We can do it. We can start it. Let's go with the spirit of innahum fityatun amanu bi rabbihim fazidnahum huda. We are young. There's something they call the optional value. It's either we say, no, this is not possible, or it is possible. It's not possible, we are not going to do it, and we don't do it. But the thing is there a possibility of it becoming successful? Yes. Should we take it or not? Of course we should take it, if there's possibility of it becoming successful. Why? Because 10 years later, or 30 years later, if we don't do anything, we will regret, maybe if we had started it gradually, maybe if we had done, at least, even if we don't reach the level we wanted to reach, at least we will have achieved probably 30% of the goals we had. We can create, these are the things we can do. Bait al-Hikmah that was there, in Baghdad, it was, funded, they had research, everything. We need Muslims to be doing researches. There's a lot of research going on. If you go to Google Scholar, all these journals there are a lot of research. Sometimes I just go read some things and even people are writing this, there's nobody to implement them. So that's why we need people that can do research, and we need people that can pick the results of research and transfer it, convert it into actionable products, tangible products. And the Muslims in the Golden Age were able to achieve all the things they achieved. They didn't have electricity, they didn't have internet, they didn't have anything they didn't have AI, and we had all these things. We have all these things today that makes things easier for us to achieve. The only thing we need is we need to put massive efforts, massive commitments, massive, consistent commitments behind this to be able to achieve this. And if we think, no, these are not possible. See, 3 examples. Singapore in 1965 was more or less like a slum. The whole of the country was like a slum. They had no resources, they had everything. But today, their GDP is greater than the US. And it is now a global hub for advanced services, technology, all those kind of things. And their strategy was educate and make sure that every individual in Singapore is well educated. And you cannot move forward. You can, meritocracy was the what do you call it, was their flag. You have to merit any position you are going to be in. You have to merit all scholarship we are going to give you. If you want a job, you have to merit. You have to deserve it. It's based on merit, not just okay, I know this person, I know that person. South Korea was poorer than Ghana in 1960. But today they are a tech powerhouse. And their policy and their strategy was industrial policy and exporting some of the things they have. The same thing, Rwanda. Rwanda was in total collapse in 1994, and today it is the fastest growing country in Africa. Now, this is not just something that, okay, it was government that did it. No, there were individuals that championed this, and government picked it up from there. So if we champion these kind of things, education, making sure we already have the education. All of us are graduates here. We already have the education. We already have the knowledge, the skills, the professionalism. We already have all these things. But how do we, how do we reorganize it? That's what we need, reorganize it. And learn civilization changing tools, policy. How do you come up with policy? How do you come up with research? Impactful researches, products and services. leadership. How do we use technology to our advantage? These ones, these things they did, all these countries we mentioned, they were deliberately building projects over 30, 60 years. And Unilonger starts with more advantages. Why? Because we are all educated. We are all educated here. We are all working. And if we can all commit for the sake of Allah, I will work, I will work 1% of my salary, of my monthly income. It's between me and Allah. Every month, I'll be donating 1% of my monthly income to Unilonger for the purpose of establishing this. And Unilonger will make a commitment that, inshallah, this is not money for individual. This is money of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the work of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala successful. We will be transparent in how we spend it. We will be transparent in how we manage it. And there is that transparency. And every single month, there is a report to every member of the organization that, okay, this is how much we made this month. This is how much we have invested. Because if we do that, let 2026 be months of financing, like gathering, pulling money together. No, nothing, we are not doing anything. We're just putting money together and we are coming up with structures. Behind the scene, we are planning how 2027 upward is going to be up until the next 30 years. So when we're able to put the money by December 2026, how much do we have in place? How many members have we been able to bring on board? And how much is everyone contributing economically? And what are the business plans we have so that by 2026, January 2026, we have new sets of economic engines, economic businesses that we are putting in place, structures, infrastructure, schools, we are putting in place all over the countries. This gradually we can start building. These are the processes we have to go through to be able to achieve the events of Alhamdulillah, we are celebrating 20 years of Unilonger, and this is what we have to show for it. That's an event. So, right now, our problem that we need to solve is the problem of we are educated, but we don't, but we are not productive. Productive in the sense of we are not producing things. The global Muslim world, for example, the global average patents, innovation patents, product patents that is produced by countries throughout the world is 47. But when we put all Muslim countries together, we produce 0.2%. Very, very low. When the global average per country is 47%, the Muslim country is 0.2%. Altogether, OIC country, Organization of Islamic Countries. The global average research and development spending is 2.3%, but for the Muslim OIC country, Organization of Islamic Countries, is 0.4%. The interesting thing, Nigeria is part of the Organization of Islamic Countries. So we have critical deficits. Only 2 universities in global top 500. Brain drain. In other words, Muslims leaving Muslim countries or Muslim institutions to other places, 54% of engineering graduates emigrate to other parts of the world. You know what will have happened if they stay in their own country? One of 2 things. Is either the country had all the structure all the enabling environments, and these graduates will make their countries great. But unfortunately, it is the second thing that is happening. They don't have the structure. If you remain, you will become useless, you will not become useful. So people move out. And when they move out, what happens? It leaves the country in deficit of manpower. And when people move out of one country to another, like students, people in Muslim countries, Muslim majority countries, they leave their country, they go, go on studies overseas. What happens? Like the amount of money that is removed or that's flow out of Muslim majority country, OIC countries to other parts of the world is over 350 billion. That's a lot of money. 350 billion going, because you pay school fees, you pay rent, you pay, calculating all this money together. And that's it. Money going into other parts of the world. Of course, some of them send money back when they get job, but the amount they send back is far less than the amounts that goes out. So, which means the economy of those countries are depleting. That's at the global level. And that's why we as Muslims, we have to show the Ummah how to change things, as longer. We need to change because we are ready to hear this. We are ready as a community to do something. We are small. But remember, كَمْ مِنْ فِئَةٍ قَلِيلَةٍ غَلَبَتْ فِئَةً كَثِيرَةً بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. There are times when very small chunk number of people are able to defeat huge number of people. How many people are working in Google? But they are controlling all businesses of the world. How many companies are controlling all the businesses, business activity in the world? You have Amazon, you have Google, you have Apple, you have Facebook, Meta, TikTok, 5, public, but they are far less. And these are individuals like us. They were just brutal about, I want to do this. Of course, they are materialistic about it. And that's the reason why we are in the position to be even more brutal about it. No, we have to take the bull by the horn. We have to make sure Islam is a success through action, not through preaching. There's a lot of videos you can watch if you want to watch preaching on YouTube. They have been talking for a long time. And one of the things I always say is long before I was born, and all of us were born, there's this verse people have been quoting. We were born, we are still quoting it. We need to do something. We need to work. We need to put actions into place. Come together, sit together, be sincere, and be ready to, our differences, let's put it aside. Let's see how Islam can go forward. And that's why I said a way to do that is to have a rules-based approach to relating among ourselves first. Then we start moving forward. We work together, and we can achieve the things we are supposed to achieve for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Prophet ﷺ, the hadith I quoted earlier, the Prophet ﷺ warned us to not become like foam. We'll be so many, but we have no effect. As you can see on the screen, the foam here, the foam is not in control, it's the water that is in control, pushing into however it likes, back and forth. And that's how the Ummah is being treated today. We do not have a say in anything because we have allowed ourselves to be like that. We need to take responsibility of our own future. Of course, with the permission of Allah. And Allah has given us the permission. He has given us the permission. Long ago, وَأَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ وَمِنْ رِبَاطِ الْخَيْلِ تُرْهِبُونَ بِهِ عَدُوَّ اللَّهِ وَعَدُوَّكُمْ. Allah said, prepare all you can. All you can. Prepare it. In terms of, it was in the context of war, but since we are not in the context of war, now the war is what? It's economic. The war is what? It's innovativeness, product creation, service provision, business creation. That's where the war is. Create all it is. It is in form of financing. And that's why each one of us has to make that vow. Ya Allah, every month, part of my income, I'll be donating it to Winnie Longer as wax for 1 year, in order for 12 months. If you can pay it in advance, if you know how much you can pay it in advance, pay it in advance. So how much is 1% of your income? Give it. That way, your Longer is also going to make a vow. Ya Allah, these people are entrusting us with this money in order to achieve this result. And we make sure everyone who is working with Longer merits the position so that they can take good care of this. When we promise we are not going to misappropriate the fund, we promise this, we promise that, like we have a contract between the giver and the taker. Why? Because no longer it is time to become the giving hand. First of all, so I'm saying the upper hand is better than the lower hand. It's time for us to become the upper hand and show other Muslim communities how to become the upper hand. And there's this thing I want to say. MSS is now about 70 years old. If I ask this question, is there anything MSS has to show in terms of structure, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of institution, enduring, self-reliant, self-sustainable institution over the 70 years? I don't want Unilonger to be like that for the sake of building the Ummah. This is a powerful entity. This is a powerful platform. And we can make very good use of it if we put our minds to it. And there are very simple principles. And the simple principle is we have to become the upper hand, the giver. We are not looking for jobs. Our members are not looking for jobs anyway. We give jobs to our members. So anybody graduating from University of Ilorin, we make it our responsibility that everyone who graduates in the University of Ilorin gets a job in a company owned by Unilonger. Whether it's a company of 5 people, 10 people that keeps growing with, like minds. We have people that study business administration. We have people that study marketing. We have people that study engineering. We have people that study communication. We have people that study different kind of things. Put these people together, one of them, put them together, you have potential company in place. Let them come up with the idea. Connect these people together with these skills together and task them, come up with an idea for establishing a company. And they have the company, okay, this is what we think we can do with our skill sets. They come together with it, they come up with a proposal. Then who is in that industry that is already successful? We ask him to mentor them. If this is, for example, you want to start converting cassava into a kind of finished product, for example, who's already in that business, can you come and mentor this group of people? If it means us paying the person to mentor them, he mentors them. And at the end of the day, what do we have? And he also helps them set up the company, and the company is set, and they start working. We can set up thousands of companies by the end of 2026, because we already have the people, they already have the skill. We're not just training them. All they need is to brush up into new things, and we can do that by creating online courses where we bring people that already, not necessarily online courses, courses, but short courses where we have the platform where all our members go to learn different skills. Oh, if I want to market my product, this is what I do, because we are forming a company and we have the resources. So Unilonger creates that resources. We pay people to create the resources, we upload it, all our members have access to it. So while they are forming their company, they are doing their daily operations, and they feel like, okay, we don't know how to do this. Okay, let's go to Unilonger educational platform. We watch how to do this, and we come back to it and do it. So these are just my proposal on how to rebuild the Ummah if we are ready to do this, to do it. And if we believe this is something that is noble that we should do, how in detail can come later. We can sit down together and say, okay, let's go detail by detail how we can do this. So communities that build infrastructures are givers. In other words, community that creates jobs, companies, community that creates different kinds of companies, they are givers, because you are the one giving jobs, not the one collecting jobs. So they are the upper hands. Community that consumes are receivers. If all you know is, there's something on AliExpress, let's buy it today. So you're a consumer. Now there's something, there's a video on YouTube, just consuming. I know an organization, in 2023, I had a discussion with one brother, and he said they spent, in 3 days, they organized a 3-day program. They spent over 100 million naira just to invite people from all over the world, and they organized one recently, not long ago, invite people all over the world to come to Nigeria to organize 3 days program, 100 million naira. You know what 100 million naira can do? How many companies you can establish that will make you self-sustaining the Ummah? And that's what I'm saying. We don't have, we have to stop looking at, okay, it's my organization that is successful. No, it is the Ummah that is successful. If the Ummah is successful, what does success mean to the Ummah? It means you can employ people. You can employ Muslims, you can employ non-Muslims. The priority to our own members first. Priority to our own members, we employ, and even our member that is going to be employed by our companies will have to merit. We have to merit that position. It's based on merit, not just because you are a member. So this will push people, to up their own game, to learn more. How many PhDs do we have in Unilonga? We have to know it. We have to know how many University of Illinois graduates have become PhDs. Because when you know it, you know what we are capable of. Okay, this person is PhD in this role. He can handle this kind of things. Let's sponsor him to organize. Let's sponsor him. Like that kind of thing. How many masters do we have in each field, in various fields? I think we need to build better relationship with the university so that they can help us with this data. And that's me suggesting. So Unilonga must move to become the upper hand, in essence. Now, there's what you call the triple helix model. The triple helix model is, when you see the helicopter has, the fan of the helicopter is usually 3, the hands of the fan is usually 3, right? And that's what makes it possible for it to move up together with the engine. Even the fan in your house is 3. Of course, today they are doing quadruple fan, but originally that's it. Now, the triple helix that can make us move forward, or makes any society move forward: government, university, industry. Government is governance, university is knowledge, industry is production and services. So those 3 are very, very important. So we, as Unilonga, we are currently not, say, in government, but Unilonga in and of itself, we can see it as government. Governance. Unilonga can handle governance. University, that's where we are all, because we are all graduates, we are all graduates. Industry, we are all working. Or maybe not all of us, some of us might probably be out of job temporarily, but we are all in one industry or the other. So if Unilonga serves as governance structure, I think Unilonga, the executive, have a lot of, a very powerful role to play in, thinking this through, creating this vision, and creating the pathway to making the vision become reality. You already have human capitals in terms of all these university students, graduates, and even university students, those still in school. Today, students in university are making money. They are not just waiting to graduate to become something. They are already making money. So we already have the human capital. And we also have the industry capital. We can create, we have to start influencing, we have to start dominating and influencing various industries. These are achievable. Most initiatives fails because they wait for government. The government is not doing this or that. Success comes from activating university and industry first. When governments see it, they're like, wow, this is happening, let's support it. That's how it happens. The government will not support something if they have not even seen it, they are not sure whether it's possible. The only reason why the White House will give what they call bailouts to Silicon Valley when Silicon Valley is failing is because they have seen what Silicon Valley is capable of. So the only reason why a government should trust us is because they have seen what we are capable of, and we have to show our capacity and our capability. have it. Graduates, we have it in every field. Doctors, we have master students, graduate students, first class students, second class, upper students. We have all this within us. So we have to do the work. So,
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
I've just been mindful of time. Could you please round off at 10:30, please?
Inshallah.
Sorry, 11:30.
Inshallah, inshallah.
Mm.
So, one of the things that will make all this possible is money. So, my advice, my suggestion, my proposal, not just to Unilonga, but to any Islamic organization, is we should start learning how to create a waqf. We should start learning how to create waqf, how to take advantage of waqf and zakat. But zakat as initiator, not just so everywhere we are depending on zakat. No, the first stream of zakat that comes should be converted into something that will become self-sustaining forever and ever, so that we don't every year rely on people giving us sadaqah or zakat. So that will be the initiator or initialization engine. Then from there, we start different things, as waqf and other things. I know people might be saying, do we use money of zakat? So we can talk about those later, but what I'm just saying is we need an initial fund, a huge initial fund to do all these kind of things. And from there, we start creating micro enterprises. We launch micro enterprises, every single month. Imagine instead of every month, we have this kind of lecture, but what we're actually having is we are creating a new kind of business, new kind of company, new kind of successful company. And we give report. The company we created last month was able to generate 5 million this month, and so on and so forth. And these are things that are possible. So then from the economic engine to the knowledge engine, talent platform, transforming from a social network to a strategic network, a searchable database. We need to create databases of all University of Ilorin Muslim graduates. And we need to create a social network platform, a kind of our own Facebook, just for University of Ilorin students, where we can, interact, share knowledge, all those kind of things where we share ideas for the sake of moving the Ummah forward. We need to start creating research, policy research hub, where people with ideas, come up with ideas. This is what we can do, to put policies in place that others can follow step by step to achieve success. The same thing, education and social infrastructure, longer academy schools in virtually all state capitals, for example. That's an idea. Mentorship, people that are just graduating from school, those who are already in the field, we can pair them together so that they mentor this people. This is what you do in this field, not just how to get a job, but how to become better in your field, how to become an authority in your field. Of course, in addition to how to get a job, if you want to get a job, and that's the reason why we don't want our graduates to start thinking about how to get a job. We want to already have set up everything so that they can get a job as soon as they graduate. What we need to worry about is how do they become better? How do they become the best in their field? If you study engineering, by the time you go mechanical engineering, for example, they pair you with somebody and it shows you the way so that you become innovative, so that you can all start creating your own patents. And you register the patent. I created this, I designed this phone. We start creating, if possible, start creating our own phone. Our own, Nigeria we turn Nigeria into a technology hub. And so, where how to settle disputes among Muslims. So, and there are different ways we can do it, but instead of having a centralized leadership, we have a decentralized leadership. For the sake of time, I think so. And the way we can do it, I just put 90 days here, but not necessarily 90 days. It's to form, like small committees to start thinking about different things around this area. Where people will have the skills, the knowledge, and the experience in this field. We can say, if we want to start a school, this person is the best person that has knowledge. How can we start a school? What is the proposal you can come up with? If you want to start a technology hub, who is responsible? We look at people within the community and let them come up with proposal and how can we start it. It doesn't mean we are going to do it, but we want to know what is involved. And in fact, we can dedicate ourselves to saying whatever they do, we are going to make sure it happens. Create a documentation system for everything, and we start committing for it. So if this is yes, the revival begins. If this proposal is a yes, then the revival of the Ummah begins here. And if it is no, then we return to nostalgia. We start thinking, during the time of Umar ibn Khattab, this is what they did. During the time of the Prophet, this is what they did. No, we start going back to the golden age without us ready to being ready to create our own golden age. And you know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, indeed, Allah loves those who fight in His way. And will this be, will Unilomga answer the call? It's up to us. I think this is where I'm going to stop. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullahu khairan for such a breathtaking lecture. It was very educative. It was inspiring. It was practical. We keep talking. We need to do this, we need to do that, without actually saying what we need to do, without actually building the framework to do it. But with this blueprint that we have, I hope that the leadership will take this up and then, possibly further engage the lecturer, because I know he has a lot more in stock, inshallah. So it's a wake-up call that this Ummah can do so much more if we actually have a plan and follow it through. So Jazakumullah khairan. I wouldn't want to, go over all of the things he has said because of time. Usually we always try to round off the program at 11:30 after taking the call, the additions, contributions, question and answers and all of that. But because of the nature of this lecture, I wasn't even expecting you to narrow it down to Unilomga. But alhamdulillah, you did so, and we have learned a lot from it. So I would like us to take a few contributions, questions, answers, and round everything off by 11:45, inshallah. While apologizing for the extra time we've taken today, I want to believe that the topic or the lecture has more than made up for the additional time we've spent. So please pardon us. The next one, inshallah, we'll try to make it more compact than this. And again, let us come early, okay, so that we don't waste time. We start 10 on dot, and we go straight to the program. So if you want to contribute, you could either drop your questions or contributions in the comment section. We take it from there, or we go by way of showing hands. If you want to contribute, kindly use the hand button on the call, and we'll take it off from there. But I would like to, Prof. Yes, Prof is still on the call. A lot of what the speaker said, Brother Teslim said, we're still trying to figure it out on our last call, the meeting we had last night. And I've received so many inbox messages saying, oh, this is exactly what we need. This is exactly what we need. So, alhamdulillah for the timeliness of this program. A huge jazakallah to our brother. I'm a part of the ESCO, and this is very inspirational and call to do better. May Allah help us all. This is coming from Brother Ibrahim Adesoye. Jazakumullah khairan. Please help send the recorded message to everyone by the end of this meeting. Inshallah, we always post the link to the recording on all our WhatsApp groups, all our WhatsApp channels. I
Inshallah,
call on
I'll share the PowerPoint. I think you can share that with everybody also.
Inshallah. So we are recording this. We will put it on YouTube and we share the YouTube link. Once we also get the presentation slides, we'll post it on all our group channels. If you are not currently on any of our WhatsApp groups, the publicity secretary will help to drop the links, inshallah. Um, okay, I think there's no question. It is all clear. I would like to call on Professor Mahfouz Adedimeji. We will never get tired of calling you, and
Subhanallah, he's on call.
he is on the call.
He's on call. Subhanallah.
Yes. And I know he will not get tired of answering our call. So Jazakumullah khairan.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
May the Almighty Allah accept our effort and acts of ibadah. I think I have to begin on a note of appreciation to Brother Teslim Adeyemo. It's been some time. So may Allah continue to be with him. And just as Brother Kinde mentioned, and the issues he was able to elaborate on extensively today was actually part of the interface we were having yesterday. And I believe that the roadmap will essentially help in making Unilonga what it's supposed to be. And I see Unilonga just as a nucleus of what the Ummah will be. So what just came to my mind when he was making his presentation is that beyond the platform that he has provided. Brother Adeyemo, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And beyond the PowerPoint that you have presented, you can make it a kind of a proposal, or something like a short paper, so that even at the highest level of Islamic administration of Islamic affairs in this country, we can also deliberate on it, so that we'll be able to synthesize our efforts. Because what we say, what the challenges that we think no longer has, are the same challenges facing the entire Muslim Ummah. We have members, we have a large number of people, but harnessing our human and material resources to be able to make meaningful impact happens to be the challenge. And the main challenge that I see is that when we gather, we discuss. As soon as we finish discussion, people will melt down and then disappear into their everyday life. So currently, the president of the Alumni Association at the University of Ilorin is a Muslim. They definitely make him to be a member of Unilonga. The vice president is a Muslim. The general secretary is a Muslim. And then you have it like that all through, which really means that if we're able to synergize, so since all graduates register with the alumni association, it's part of the requirement because they have to pay the alumni fees. And there's a particular component of the convocation form that has to be signed by the alumni association. So if we're able to integrate, network, and interact with one another, shifting out the Muslim names will not be a difficult thing. But you see, even having the names is one thing, as it happens in the larger body, the secular thing. Doing something meaningful with the data is another thing entirely. Because I realize that the challenges that we think we are facing now are also the challenges that they are also facing in terms of mobilization. So may Allah reward you abundantly. I think this is a talk that we should be able to walk, so that it will not just be another talk shop. So if you don't work, especially if it is presented just as requested, will not only be useful for us at the level of Unilonga, it will also be something that may help us to change the fears of the Muslim Ummah in the country. Jazakumullah khairan. I want to commend and appreciate the ESCO for their consistency, for their sacrifices, and for everything they are putting together to ensure the sustainability of these unique monthly lectures. I know there are many university Muslim alumni associations. I know Unifemga is prominent. I know that of Ummah of the University of Lagos is prominent, but none of them holds a monthly lecture program as we do. Most times the activities are limited to Ramadan and some other things, which means we are making an impact. The only thing we require is also just to spread our tentacles so that the impact will not even be limited to the membership of Unilamuga or the entire Muslim Ummah that we represent, because we are just a chain and we are just a single link in the long chain of the Muslim Ummah. By the time we're able to replicate these activities, hopefully everybody will become more sensitized and more enticed. Jazakumullah khairan.
Inshallah, I will work on it. I will develop it as a proposal, as you said, and share it with Brother Hafiz, so he knows what to do with it, inshallah. And probably also for other members, I think I do a lot of writing on this particular topic. Usually, recently I started to writing a lot about this on LinkedIn. So because sometimes you just have an idea that as soon as the idea comes, I just put it down, and you may not have other people to see it, but I try to document all my idea about how to move the Ummah forward on social media for those who are interested in seeing. In fact, I just sent something to Brother Hafiz about MSSN also, because what I was thinking was I actually wanted to write a proposal to MSS national body. So what you just said now actually makes it easy. So I can just develop it for Unilonga and MSS at the same time. But I think at the MSS level, they have been trying to avoid me. I don't know why. Every time I set up meeting for them, but some of these things, there are things you have to sit down together with them and discuss. Unfortunately, it's difficult to get them to sit down and discuss with them. So, inshallah, I'll do my best to develop it and share it. Jazakumullah khairan.
Jazakumullah khairan. Jazakumullah khairan to Prof for shedding more light, for the acknowledgement of the work we do, and for his own support. And we also equally thank all our members, especially the participants of today's program, for your kind support. Jazakumullah khairan. Regarding what you said about MSS, the Unilonga ESCOs, also in the process of engaging MSS, we have different correspondences here and there, but we are working to smoothen our communication with them so that it's an ongoing thing. So your proposal can come through us. So if we set up a meeting with them, we can invite you, and then it's easier to achieve your objective that way, rather than going to them directly. Not a lot of people will know that you were once an editor-in-chief of MSS. Not a lot of people would remember that you were one of the founding fathers or founding members of Weekly Intellectual Forum. Not a lot of people would, remember that Al Bayan magazine and the Al Bayina weekly newsletter, was revolutionized through your own efforts. A lot of these things will have been forgotten, but if you work with us at the ESCO level, at the BOT level, inshallah, more of what you are doing will be far-reaching, and especially we can work with MSSN. Jazakumullah khairan. So on this note, we want to bring this program to an end. Join us next month, inshallah, for yet another educative and inspiring monthly lecture